Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone. I am Dr. Roland A. Drolet, PhD in Biomedical Engineering from the University of Toronto, 1971. I am the developer and inventor of the RUMART PEM system that has helped over 1 million people all over the world who were suffering from all kinds of health problems. My daughter Joseanne, part of the team since she was born. Now this series of clip is going to be on the scientific philosophy of life, okay? And I am honored to present this to my daughter Joseanne, and she has been working with me about 10 years time during the summers, and it was very stimulating for me to work with a wonderful young person who inspired me and still inspire me. So now we are going to go in a little more detail about the clip on what we call scientific philosophy of life 2, because there is up to 10, and so we are going to go through a couple of sheets, number 37 and 36. And this is a little special because this is something that I thought about when the towers in New York City, the Commerce Tower, whatever they call them.
The World Trade Center.
The World Trade Center. Thank you so much. The beautiful towers that I saw for the first time when I was in the Empire State Building. And I thought they looked gorgeous. But one morning, I was coming after breakfast, and I heard at the radio station in Quebec City that one plane has got through one tower of the World Trade Center. Then I just saw myself like in the Empire State Building as I was, and I thought, whoever did this, if I would have been doing this, I would try to attack both towers, not just one. So I run with my car to get quickly home to see what happened to the next tower. And then when I was coming home, when I saw that the first tower image, they showed many times, that the plane got through about 12 or 15 floors below the top ceiling, then I realized that with all the kerosene stuff in the wings of the plane, and with the kinetic energy of the plane going through this, that when the steel column are going to go like marshmallow, that I saw this whole pack of 12 to 15 floor starting going down and never stopping till the bottom. So I was sure then that it was going to happen, and I was sure in my mind that the second tower was in danger, and when I was thinking that, the second plane happened in the other tower. So I waited there to see both towers come down in dust. But what I had calculated about 2-3 months before that, I had done a thought experiment that Albert Einstein was familiar with. And my thought experiment was very simple. I thought, what happens if, with the means of the NASA that we have now, that I get on a fusée,
Rocket.
on a rocket, thank you, and I get on a rocket, and then when the comet Halley gets to, we see comet Halley, somehow I get to, with the rocket, to be able to land on comet Halley that was discovered by the Chinese people 250 years before Christ, and a long time before Halley who gave the name to this comet. But anyway, then I decided, suppose that I am on comet Halley and I follow this elliptic curve, and then I get too close to Jupiter for some reason, then I'm deviated, and I imagine that I would be deviated to get away from the sun in a radius going straight to the sun. Then I thought how far I'm going to go, and then when I come down, what speed I'm going to get when I enter the sun, and what is going to happen to my body, what temperature I'm going to get. So it's simple engineering equations that are right there that I have used. You see here like the sun and a comet Halley going there, and there somewhere I am on the comet Halley. I went up to almost 13 astronomical units, okay, distance between Earth and Sun. I went up about 13 astronomical units, and then I came right straight to the Sun. So then I just calculating the potential energy that I would get there, and falling down, at what speed would I get into the Sun. And when I made simple calculation, I realized that the speed I would get is what they call the escape velocity if you want to get away from the sun, or like we launch a satellite from the Earth, we have to get the escape velocity, which is square root of 2 times the speed on a circular orbit, okay? So actually I say that because the energy then that we get would be the mass times the final speed squared divided by 2, okay? This is the kinetic energy. So just using the little equation from Newton physics that's applicable there, I just equate this energy, kinetic energy, that I have when I enter the sun with comet Halley, on comet Halley. Then with a simple engineering formula, specific heat multiplied by the mass of comet Halley plus myself on it, which is nothing compared to it, multiplied by the change in temperature in Kelvin degree. This is energy, okay? So then, just simplifying the equation, I realized that this calculation of kinetic energy, or the calculation of potential energy there that I get when I am far there, no matter which formula you use, you get to the same answer. Okay, you get the gravitational constant times the mass of the sun, which is about 2 times 10 to the power 30 kilogram, divided by the radius of the sun, which is the actually the velocity, the escape velocity. Okay, so then here, matter if you use this equation, that equation, it comes to the same thing, and the only unknown is because we know that the gravitational constant, mass of the sun, radius of the sun, about 700,000 kilometers, or 0.7 million kilometer. This is specific heat multiplied by temperature. So specific heat, I just assume that it would be something like this is 4.18 calories, 4.18 joules in 1 calorie, okay? So then I be careful because Josiane knows quite a bit about physics. So I'm not allowed to make mistake here. And plus it's written here. So the G, gravitational constant, in the MKS unit, it's 6.67, 10 to minus 11. Radius of sun, 7 times 10 to the 8 in meter per second. That's a unit of the unit of speed. And what am I saying? This is the distance, the radius of the sun. I'm sorry, it's in meter. Here, as I mentioned, the final speed would be square root of 2 times the velocity on a circular orbit. So this is the escape velocity. That's the velocity that I get. And mass of the sun, 2 to the 10 multiplied by 10 to the power 30 kilograms. Specific heat, it's 4.18 or 4,180 joule per kilogram per Kelvin degrees, because it takes 4.18 joules for one category, for 1 calorie, excuse me, and for 1 calorie is defined as the energy needed to raise 1 gram of water or 1 cc of water by 1 Kelvin degree. So with this simple answer, we get delta T in Kelvin degree is 45.6 million degrees Kelvin. Then when I calculated that, I said, gee, I'm heating the sun. Because all that energy, when you enter the sun is not going to go away. It's gas. So the braking, like when the rocket comes back to Earth, they are break in the atmosphere, okay? And this is translated in friction energy. Now, entering the sun, all this kinetic energy that I had is going to be transmitted to the atoms and molecule or the atoms of the sun. But this mass of the Halley comet, which is much smaller than the sun, is going to all be transformed in a temperature rise of the equivalent mass. And it happens to be raising the temperature 45 million Kelvin degree. Then I thought, I'm really heating the sun because the center of the sun is 15 million centigrade degree. Then I remember my course in astronomy and astrophysics, that when a body enters a star, for instance, or a much bigger body, it tends to raise the temperature of the body. This is how the sun became the sun, by all the mass entering into it. And when it has so much mass, the energy there, like I calculated, is even much higher than the temperature at the center of the sun. So that means that as a result of my entering the sun with Halley's Comet, we are going together to heat the sun. Isn't that something? And I had calculated that about 2-3 months before the World Trade Center were hit. So I was sure that the World Trade Center, because Bin Laden, whoever decided where the plane were going to hit, with the mass of 12 to 15 stories, when it would start going down after the stainless steel column would go baloney, then I thought, gee, this is going to be a blast of wind and dust, and this is what happened. But I knew it was going to happen like this because of what I calculated. I was just watching, and after the first one, we saw that it was the case. Then the second one, I was sure that but they hit with their plane at the right place to produce that, cause and effect. It's not a hazard. Whoever planned that, I think he was at least an engineer. Okay, Josiane, on this page 36, now we are going to have a little explanation about this idea. You just asked me where I'm going to go with this, okay? So the answer is here. I've called this page Back to the Sun, and I made a mistake when I wrote Sun, because I cannot erase here. I wrote Sun, S-O-N. Then I thought of my son, and I thought, well, just add the real son there. So, and then it inspired me what is down below. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So that it's funny, because these sheets are all spontaneous arising in the morning when I wake up. Hey, I see something, and I used to put it on a little 8.5 by 11 sheet, but for the last 6 months it's not big enough. This was just for my own fun when I started to do that. So back to the sun, from specific heat that I explained to when I am the sun. Okay, when I get there, I am part of the sun in a way, or beyond measure, and there I get what Jesus of Nazareth answered to the Jews when they said, well, it's you cannot be the real son of God because it's Abraham that is our father for the Jews. So Jesus answered that. That's not for me, but he said that's in the Hebraic language, of course. He said to those Jews who didn't believe of what he was, he said, before Abraham was, I am. So this is where the time past, present, and future meet in spirituality. And Jesus at that time expressed that in this very sentence. Because he said, before Abraham was, I am. He expressed his eternal being as a spirit. So actually, anyone could be, when you have gone through the explanation I just gave, anyone can say, Je suis, I am Jesus 2016. In the sense that in many books, Je suis, I am in English, there are books and as a realization. But anybody can say that. Say, I am can mean that past, present, and future, really. So, but it is interesting that Jesus expressed this 2,000 years ago. And now about these two songs, I thought about the three factors of healing: motivation, method, and mentor. And now, because I made that mistake, the wrong son, I thought, well, this somehow could be the Father, the Son, whatever you want, and the Holy Spirit. So this is, to me, the three main factors of any healing. Is this quantum mechanics or scientific philosophy of life? I'm asking you. Can be both. You decide how you feel about it. So here I said the Holy Trinity in every one of us. And I remember having read a book from the Pope John II. And when he wrote a book called The Theology of the Human Body. He is a PhD, he was a PhD in philosophy, the theology of the human body. And there is a judge in the province of Quebec who said that the Holy Spirit is the Spirit who guides us, okay? So somehow you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit can be considered to be ourselves. See, our spirit could be considered as the Holy Spirit. The Son would be our body, material body, and the mentor could be our guide, external or internal, until we become our own guide, and that's it. So suns are ignited when the temperature is above 20 million Kelvin degree, and when you enter in it on early, you bring a temperature mass at an equivalent temperature of 47 or 42 million degrees. And this is taking the specific heat of the water vapor when we become a gas as the specific heat of water. But actually, when you're in a gas, it's even lower than that. That means our temperature could be even higher than that. So that's the end of this clip. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed it. And please keep smiling till the next clip.